Four-time All-Pro, three-time Walton Payton Man of the Year nominee, two-time Pro Bowler, and a Denver Broncos captain. That is who the Denver Broncos said goodbye to today when releasing Justin Simmons. And we're going to break it down on the DNVR Broncos podcast with Super Bowl 50 champ and Justin Simmons' former teammate Todd Davis. Henry Chisholm, you hear? Zach Stevens rolling with you today. Guys, what's your initial reaction when you heard this news, Todd? Henry and I have already talked about it for earlier today, so I want your initial reaction.
This is stupid. I think it's a dumb move. Not a choice I would have made. Too often have we seen great players in Broncos uniforms get cut, traded, released for whatever reason. You know, we're not like other organizations like the Steelers will hold on to you long after you're done just because of what you did for the organization. Justin Simmons is a future Hall of Famer. In 8 years, he's had more interceptions than anybody, 4 All-Pros, and he got snubbed a couple times because he was making a name for himself. The Pro Bowls, he definitely got snubbed a couple times because he was making a name for himself. He really needs a Super Bowl and maybe 2 more All-Pros, and that's a Hall of Fame career. I don't like it. Like I said, I think it's stupid. And, I mean, I guess it is what it is. It wasn't my decision to make, but I can legitimately say I don't like it.
And to add to that, Todd, I mean, he's 30 years old. Running backs, you hit 30, you're done. Safeties might be one of the positions that you can play the longest of any position on the field. So when you say 2 more All-Pros, I absolutely think Justin has that left in his tank by far. I mean, he could play for 6, 7, 8 more years and at an All-Pro level for 3 or 4 more years. That wouldn't surprise me at all. And the reason they did this wasn't because Justin Simmons has lost his step. It's because of the money. $18 million is what his cap hit would have been this year. They saved $14.5 million. They take about $3 million in dead cap by moving on from this. But to kind of piggyback off what you're saying, to be a good team, you got to have good players, right? And the Broncos just said goodbye to their second best player on the team. Is that right? I would go Pat, Justin, and then probably a big fall off.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at like Court can make like a weird case for Quinn, but yeah, no, I mean, it's really just
Justin's the second best player.
Really
you look at accolades and you look at what he does for the team. I think there's plenty of other guys where you can get that same cap savings that haven't done nearly as much for the team as Justin has. And you're keeping around for whatever reason, not sure, but you let go of your best player on defense, one of your best players on the team, like, I'm speechless. I guess.
It's pretty crazy.
And I think that's kind of where Broncos Country is as well. And to me, we talked about how Justin Simmons, they might move on from him. Garett Bolles, Courtland Sutton, Tim Patrick, Jeudy, DJ Jones. Those were kind of the big names where they could save a lot of money. They couldn't save more money than with Justin. Justin was the guy that they could save the most money on. Unless Garett Bolles
would be more. That'd be 16.
Bolles would be more. So Justin was the second guy to save the most money. And to me, I was thinking, okay, can you get a third back for him? Can you, I think, Henry, in your awesome article over at thednvr.com, you said Justin Simmons in a 5th for a second-round pick.
Yep.
That would have stunk. But, like, okay, now the Broncos have a second-round pick. You do that, or you just do Justin for a third business decision. Okay, it stinks. You're getting younger, but you get something in return. You get that savings. But nothing in return. That's, I think, the biggest shock of today is they just flat out cut him. Nothing in return. Now, I say nothing.
$14.5 million in return.
$14.5 million in return. But here's the kicker to this: no compensatory draft pick for Justin. So I've seen a lot of people say, like, well, maybe they would get a better compensatory pick than if they traded him. No, when you release a player, they don't count in the compensatory. You only get compensatory picks for players whose contracts expire under your watch. So that's the kicker here, is the only thing you get back is that cap relief.
Yeah. And, I was all in on tear it down. Like, if you're an older player, somebody who might not be around a few years from now when the Broncos are kind of back in their window, like, you're over the cap. It's time for a reset. You've got to start looking toward the future. Like, you're just not that team right now. The difference is you lost him for nothing. Like if they had said, like, oh, yeah, we're going to go trade Justin for a third-round pick, that's something that I could get behind. But when you're only talking about the cap savings, that's why I definitely wouldn't have made that move. You look through, it's Garett Bolles, $16 million if you cut or trade him. Should be listening to offers. Like Courtland Sutton, $14.5 million if you cut or trade him. You should be listening to offers. Jeudy, $13 if you trade him. Listen to the offers. $9.5 for DJ Jones, Tim Patrick. Like, potentially make a move there.
Yeah, you make this move before so many other moves that just seem like no-brainers.
That's the tough part. And so I wonder how exactly this all played out. So the Broncos needed to clear like a little less than $20 million in cap space by the start of the new league year.
Which is Wednesday.
And so that's technically the first time you could submit a trade to the league. Like, there are trades that go on before, as somebody in his burner was telling me earlier this morning. But when you agree to a trade before that, you can't actually submit the paperwork and have it approved until Wednesday, which means trades don't clear the cap space you need to get under that threshold. So again, we've brought up Tim Patrick a lot. That's a move that I probably would have made beforehand just because of the financial situation there. Like $9.5 million, you're halfway. DJ Jones, what? But I'm sure they went through, and they must be. You don't think so?
They just flipped a coin.
They flipped a coin.
Everybody on a dart and just threw the dart. All right.
But they must be thinking
that's what a lot of fans think. A lot of fans. You said it's stupid. That's what a lot of fans are feeling right now.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't get it. You talk about DJ Jones was how much?
9.5.
And TP was 9.5.
Yeah,
I love both those guys. TP more because that's my guy.
Yeah.
See ya.
There's
it's
no
crazy.
all pros there. There's no Pro Bowls. There's no leaders there. Like, no disrespect to anybody. I just don't think you make this move with Justin Simmons, man.
Totally.
And I think it's disrespectful.
So you do those two moves you talked about.
That's $20 million.
That's 18. But then the move that takes you over the $20 million mark. You say goodbye to Tremont Smith, and that saves you $3 million.
Yeah, but there's another $3 million from like the other salaries that fill in because you count the top 51. But yeah, I mean the thing is, I wonder if they've been talking to. Maybe they've been talking to teams about DJ Jones. Maybe they were talking to, say, the Eagles were saying, like, yeah, we're interested in Justin. We can give you a 6th. And somebody else is saying, yeah, we'll give you a 5th for DJ. And they say, well, we got to make some moves now so that we can get to Wednesday. And on Wednesday, we can get the savings. So if we can either bring in the 5th or the 6th, let's hold on to DJ until the trade deadline and make the move then. But, again, I don't know that there is much trade value with DJ Jones. So this is, it's always tough when they make the first move to see what the big plan is. But yeah, it's shocking that they just decided cut Justin Simmons as the first step to getting cap compliant.
I think unfortunately this speaks to the entire roster a lot louder when they're not able to get anything back from Justin Simmons. You think they're getting anything for DJ Jones? You think they're getting anything for Courtland Sutton? And maybe with Courtland, I say anything, and it's a 6th-round pick. Well, that's not the 2nd-round pick they wanted last year. You think they're getting anything close to that 1st-round pick that they wanted for Jeudy last year? Absolutely not. So this is a reality. Again, Justin Simmons was by far your 2nd-best player on the team. And no team was willing to give anything for him? The rest of your roster, outside of Pat Surtain, who should be off the table, is just depleted. And every other team looks around and sees this. Oh, you're going to release Justin Simmons? Never mind. We were offering a 5th-round pick for Jeudy. We'll just wait till you release him or release Courtland Sutton. They won't release Jerry because of his contract, but we'll just wait till you release Courtland Sutton. We'll just wait till you release DJ Jones. So, to me, this I'm not saying it's this move that tanks everyone else's value, but this move shows that no one else has trade value outside of Pat Surtain on this roster, in my opinion.
See, I totally disagree because the difference is the safety position. Because, I guess Antoine Winfield gets the tag, but you go through to Kyle Duggar's a free agent, Cameron Curl's a free agent, Xavier McKinney's a free agent, Geno Stone's played great, he's a free agent, Julian Blackmon, CJ Gardner-Johnson is way down the list of those guys, Darnell Savage, Jeremy Chin, and then on top of that, because of that deep safety market, that's why so many teams are cutting safeties. Justin Simmons is obviously the best safety on the market, but Jordan Poyer got cut, Jamal Adams got cut, Marcus May got cut, Kevin Byard got cut, Quandre Diggs got cut. I mean, it's Eddie Jackson got cut. That was an earlier one. So you just wind up with 10 starting safeties in free agency, and then you add 7 more now, and all of a sudden there's a safety on the market for every team in the league, and that just makes it harder to convince a team like, hey, we think Justin Simmons is worth a second-round pick. They say, but we could just, instead of giving up a second-round pick, we could pay less money and just go get a worse safety, but a starting safety anyway. And so I think the whole safety market is just shifted in just like a strange way that's going to set back the position for a very long time. And Jamal Adams got released.
You want Jamal Adams? I'm just talking, let's talk about who these guys are. Like, we're talking about Justin Simmons, the best.
That's the thing. He is the best one of them.
Anybody you get is going to be worse than him. So we're obviously taking we're going down at that position. And that also means to me, like, if we're just filling in bodies here, like, nothing you do for the team matters. All the community stuff, all the Walter Payton Man of the year, Walter Payton Man of the year stuff, all the leadership stuff, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. It's numbers and bodies. Mm-hmm. If your number is high, we're getting rid of you to get a body, and everything you've done for the team, it doesn't matter. Appreciate your service. Peace out.
100%. And that's when they call it. It's just a business.
It's crazy.
And that's what in times like this they draw to.
That's why I'm not restructuring. That's why I'm wrestling. I'm not moving my trade.
Definitely not taking a pay cut,
what's it called? My injury guarantee. I'm not moving that. For what? Mm-hmm. You guys have shown time and time again, like, if push comes to shove, I'm the one that's going to be out. Yep. You're cutting me to save $14 million. Doesn't matter how many times I've taken time away from my family to go do team events to help you guys out and build a community like you asked us to. None of that matters.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I'm just a little bit hot. I got a little bit of PTSD. You know what I'm saying?
I like it, dude. I never really find Todd this fiery in anything.
And I think you're embracing a lot of what Broncos Country is feeling, Todd. And I love feeling the raw emotion from you. And I am frustrated about this for a I totally understand where you're coming from. I'm frustrated from a slightly different reason that I want to get into after I tell you about our friends over at Bet365. Use that code DNVR365, and they're going to give you one of 2 offers that you get to choose. Place a $5 bet, and they're going to give you $150 in bonus bets right away. Or you can place a first bet safety net up to $1,000, meaning if your first bet doesn't hit, they're going to give you bonus bets up to the amount that you placed your bet up to. And right now, we had some other news come out this morning about Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is going to meet with the Pittsburgh Steelers. At least the Steelers want to meet with him. So, unsurprisingly, over at Bet365, Russell Wilson is minus 175 to sign with the Steelers. The Raiders are second at plus 250. We're going to be following that, but today is all about Justin Simmons. But if you want to get in on these odds, they're probably going to have Justin Simmons odds on what his next team is over at Bet365. Use that code DNVR365 when you sign up to get one of those offers. And of course, you must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, once help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
And drink some Breckenridge beers, too. Let's see, what's tonight? Tonight is Nuggets. TNT against the Celtics. That's going to be a crazy game. They're actually in Denver, so you can go to that one. Tomorrow, the Avs are here. It'll be the debut for Middlestat and the defenseman, and they should be getting Val back. So that's going to be a fun one also. Yeah, I mean, there's always a good reason to drink Breckenridge beers. We're almost getting back into Strawberry Sky season, but for now, I guess I'm just feeling the avalanche today. So if you're interested in some Breckenridge beers, you can go to breckbrew.com and you can check out the beer locator. Just put in your zip code; it'll tell you exactly where to go to get whatever beers you want to try.
And I wanted to try some Broncos Country Pale Ale, so you hear Hooked It Up on the set right now. Okay, you know what pisses me off?
What pisses you off, Zach?
The Broncos are either lying to us or they think we're stupid.
Because it's not a win now.
They're
100%.
totally lying.
Because
Yeah.
what did they tell us after the season ended? Greg Penner, the owner, the guy that can say whatever he wants, came out and said, Broncos Country, we are as impatient to win as you. We want to win this year. We're not taking a step back. His words, we are as impatient as you. When they released Russell Wilson 72 hours ago, they said, as we move forward, we are focused on building the strongest team possible for the 2024 season and beyond. We are excited to improve this offseason, and we'll have the flexibility to get better through the draft and free agency. Then they released their highest paid player on offense. Then they released their highest paid player on defense. And they're doing the exact opposite of what they're telling us. I don't have an issue with rebuilding, with taking a step back, with rebooting. We're not stupid. We all understand the tough position the Broncos are in with Russell Wilson's cap hit, with Patrick Mahomes in the division. And I think we could all get behind taking a little step back. Broncos Country has kind of been begging for a step back when they've tried to go all in, and it just failed every single year. Broncos Country would be open to that. But you're telling us the opposite. And this wasn't 2 months ago. This was 72 hours ago, when they had already made their decision on Justin Simmons or kind of knew what direction they were going to go. We're not stupid. Just tell if they come out, and the next time we talk to Sean Payton, probably at the owners' meetings in a couple of weeks, if he comes out and says we're all in on 2024, it's just a slap in the face to us as media, as fans, as the rest of the organization, as players. What's going on here? Are we winning in 2024? Because it certainly doesn't look like it. Or are we taking a step back? And if it is a step back, it's okay to give us hints about that. But there's been no hints from a verbal standpoint, and that kind of pisses me off. I'm frustrated.
Yeah, I mean, they're just... You can't listen to what they say. Like, they're not going to say, like, yeah, you know, we're not going to be very good this year, but we're going to be good in the future. Like, that probably has happened... I mean, I bet like the terrible Colts team, but I guess that was with Peyton Manning hurt. So they could probably say like, yeah, we're looking at next year, but it's because Peyton's hurt. I'm trying to think like when a team would actually come out and say like, hey, it is what it is.
I think you just say, you know, we're in a tough position, and you know it's going to take us some time to get this thing back on track, but we're going to do everything we can to be back to the Broncos, the Super Bowl champion Broncos that we know we can be. Like, you don't have to say we're about to lose, just let people know or say like we're on the rise. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't Henry, to your point, I don't expect them to say, we're going to suck this year.
Yeah.
You probably want to sell your tickets now when you can. No, of course not. But like, or just in this statement when they released Russ, just say, we spoke with Russell Wilson today, informed him, we thank him for what he's done on the field, in the community, and we look forward to making moves this offseason. Not like, we're focused on building the strongest team possible for 2024. We're looking to improve this offseason. You don't improve by releasing Justin Simmons.
Yeah, I don't mind the statement. You just can't be listening to every word of those statements, I don't think. It's... Again, they're so structured though. Like there's like a formula for all these sorts of things, and you go through and it's like fans are going to be upset because they feel like we're not trying. So you got to check the box of we're doing what we can. Like we're going to field the best team. You know, like it's not. I just don't think there's much to it.
You think you're saying it's just a PR statement?
Yeah,
like literally like pre-formulated.
Basically,
fill in the blank with Russell Wilson name here and 2024 here, and send it out.
Maybe like a couple, throw in a sentence for context to like particular, but yeah, it's pretty much just like it's just what you say when you do it.
Well, then what you're saying is that Greg Penner, the owner of the team, is just a PR statement, and I don't buy that. Yeah. I don't buy that Greg Penner, worth tens of billions of dollars, is just a PR statement. I did take his words from a media perspective, from a fan perspective, as we're as impatient to win as you guys, as the truth. I didn't take it as a PR statement.
I'm not saying he is a PR statement, but I'm saying that literally is a PR statement that they sent out. Like literally, that is what it is.
Okay, well then go back just 2 months.
Yeah.
That's what Greg Penner said.
He said he's impatient. He wants to win as quickly as anybody. But that doesn't mean like we're going to sell out to make sure we get to 9 wins next season. It's we want to win as fast as possible, and we can disagree about like with them about whether that means getting rid of Justin Simmons or whatever. But just because you want to win quickly doesn't mean that you all of a sudden think, oh, we can be Super Bowl contenders year one. It's about getting to that point as quickly as possible. Like that's what I hear. And if you don't think Justin Simmons is part of that future, like I think he could defend it pretty easily.
So do you think the Broncos are rebuilding?
I mean, I have to say yes now.
Yeah.
We've talked about you know why I say yes? Because there's not many pieces left to build from. So in essence, all these solid blocks that we had as a team are really no longer with us.
Yep.
So you have to build a foundation. And besides Pat, as you know, it's going to be here for years. I don't know who's really on that foundation anymore. So I think we do have to rebuild the foundation to make us a good team.
Yep, I think so too. I think if you're not rebuilding, it's going to be really rare that you're getting rid of your second best player. Like I can't think of a contender who's done that before. It would take some time, I guess, anyway. But Tyreek Hill, Chiefs getting rid of Tyreek Hill. That's a time when a contender said, we're not rebuilding, but they did a move like that. But it is very rare, and I think that if you
there were so many pieces there.
Totally, yeah, it's a very, very different situation.
Very different.
But yeah, I mean, it's just so rare. And then on top of that, like they could have just restructured. Like if they wanted to, they could just say like, hey, Mike, that we want to give you $10 million up front, and that's, I guess it'd be more than that, but we're just going to push $10 million of your dollars down the line for our accounting purposes. Like you could do that. You could do Zach Allen. You could do Ben Powers. You're no more committed to them than you otherwise would be, except if you try to get rid of them during the season, and you would be cap compliant to do whatever else after. So I mean, they're clearly rebuilding to at least some extent.
Unless they make one move, and that one move is in free agency. If they go out and sign Kirk Cousins, then this move of releasing Justin Simmons was clearly the first move of a couple more that they're going to make in order to have the money for Kirk Cousins, and then that's just clearly going all in on Sean Payton. And I'm okay with that, because then you'd be giving Sean every resource on offense. Because, again, you didn't bring him in here to make you a well-balanced team. You brought Sean Payton in here to make this offense a modern-day offense. And so if you go out and you get Kirk Cousins, then it shows me that this move isn't a rebuilding move. It's you're just taking resources from defense, putting them on offense. I don't think that's going to happen. But if they don't make that move, I got to stop listening to what they're saying, and I just got to start looking at what they're doing.
Yes.
And then, yes, 100%, they've got to be in rebuild mode. Because what? Then they're going to go out and sign Jacoby Brissett. You know what that's going to point to the most? That's going to point to them getting a rookie quarterback in the draft. And if you get a rookie quarterback and you cut your second best player on the team, your second highest paid player on the team, you're rebuilding. So we'll know in 1 week from now, because Kirk Cousins will be on a team in 1 week from now, and we'll know exactly what the Broncos are doing. But if they're rebuilding, guys, there better be more moves on the way, because I don't want this half-ass rebuild. I don't want it where you're just dipping your toe in the water of rebuild, because the Broncos have done that a little bit over the past few years. Go all in on a rebuild if you're going to do it. Tell us. I'd appreciate that if you told us, but if not, we'll clearly know, and there's more moves to be made. So let's get into those moves after I tell you about our friends over at Fubo TV. If you want to watch the Nuggets game tonight, if you want to watch the Avs game, check out our friends over at Fubo TV, and they're going to give you a free trial. So if you're not signed up for Fubo, you can get those games tonight for free by using the code DNVR over at FuboTV.com/DNVR. And on top of getting a free trial, they're going to give you 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro. It's going to get you over 140 live channels of sports, shows, movies, news. Stream live TV from any device, anywhere, whether you're out on the road or just at the park on your phone. You can pull up Fubo TV. So check them out, FuboTV.com/DNVR for 15% off your first month.
And shout out to our family over at the American Raptors. They are Colorado's only professional rugby team, and they're back. And you can watch their games on ESPN Plus. And most importantly, we will be hosting a watch party for the game on March 1st at 4 p.m. featuring giveaways, a VIP ticket raffle, and Also, March 17th, we're hosting one for the home opener, so you don't want to miss it. That will be at the Raptors Club, and you can witness all the fast-paced, hard-hitting rugby action live at Infinity Park in Glendale when the Raptors embark on a 6-game homestand starting Sunday, March 17th. Tickets are only $10, so bring your friends and your family into Infinity Park and spend your Sundays at Rugby Town, USA. Visit AmericanRaptors.com for more information on the team and how to purchase your tickets.
All right, and before we go any further, as Jimmy Wood says in the comment section, drop a like for Justin Simmons. We'd really appreciate a thumbs up here. Really helps us out. We've done 2 shows today already to be there for you guys, and throwing us a thumbs up shows that you guys appreciate that, and it helps us out a lot. So we really appreciate everyone tuning in the comment section as well. Love hearing both sides. I mean, people are upset, people understand, and really like hearing the feedback from Broncos Country. What's next? Or is this the only move in terms of big moves? Or do you think?
To me, of all the cap-saving moves, this was like the last one. Justin Simmons would have been like the last person who I would have moved on from if you're trying to like clear space. And so like the question was always like, okay, you start with Tim Patrick just because he hasn't played on this contract. Go through like DJ Jones, you go all the way through, and then you get that. So like if you're getting rid of the guy who is the toughest to get rid of, you just got to commit. Like, as much as I hate to say it, like, if I don't see a good plan that includes moving on from Justin Simmons, but not the majority of the other guys who save you money. So at this point, to me, I guess the next step is probably like a restructure somewhere just to get you through until Wednesday. And then in theory, you trade as many of those guys as possible. I guess maybe you make the Tim Patrick move, and that could happen instead of a restructure. But to me, it's you get on the phones, you field offers for everybody you can who's making who can save you money if you trade them, and see where that lands.
Through those guys. When you say everybody that you can, who do you mean?
So you got 9.5 for Tim Patrick and DJ Jones. Tim's probably a cut. You get 13 for Jerry. If you trade him, you get 14.5 for Court. And you get 16 for Garett Bolles. So I'm just listening to offers, and if I get something decent, pull the trigger, just commit. It's a rebuild.
Are you trading?
I don't know if you're getting anything.
You might anybody. Not. If you're not for Justin, like there is a real case to be made.
And if you talk about the safety market being saturated, we went through the D lineman market. There's tons of good D linemen out there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to go pick one of them up because they have to trade and then also take his salary cap on the next team.
Yep.
I don't know.
For me, see you, DJ, unless you want to come back on a massive pay cut, not a restructure, a pay cut, and he's probably going to say, no way, see you guys later. I'm going to go sign with another team for $10 million. So I think DJ Jones is just straight up gone. I think Tim Patrick is going to be back on a pay cut / restructure, but probably just a straight pay cut. I know the Broncos have talked to him about that. So that's the receiver I actually think is back. And then you're right. Once Wednesday comes around, they get on the phone to try to move on from Jerry Jeudy, see what they can get back from him. But what I want to say about Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton is if Justin Simmons did not have a market, Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton's market is going to be way smaller than what Broncos Country wants. I mean, we're talking a 6th for Courtland Sutton, a 5th for Jerry Jeudy. So then you have to decide, okay, Jerry Jeudy is you're not going to release him. So do you want Jerry Jeudy for $13 million on your roster this year, or do you want a 5th-round pick in return? What would you take?
The money's worth
Jerry Jeudy on the roster. For
sure.
Really?
Okay. I go the other way.
You take a 5th and $13 million?
Like, I feel like we've committed. Like, the picks are a bonus to me. Like, clear the cap space, reset the books, eat as much of the cap hit as you can, roll over the $13 million in next year. Like, in theory, your options are you can either spend $13 million on Jerry Jeudy this year, or you can just spend that exact same $13 million on somebody else next year. I'd rather just push whoever that player is because you're obviously signing somebody else with the money to next year. Any pick is just a bonus.
So you're saying it's trade or cut, not there's no option to keep.
If you're cutting Justin Simmons, that's what I'm saying.
So what about Garett Bolles? Is he at left tackle? Is he a foundational piece? Because, Henry, you mentioned how you want guys here not just for this coming year, but are guys going to be on your roster that are going to help you win in a couple of years? Is Garett Bolles one of those guys?
2026, I think so. 2027 is, I mean, he's going to be like 35, and offensive linemen are weird, and he was a super old rookie, so he hasn't played as much football. He should be in a little bit better shape, but I mean, obviously, that's just a massive gamble. I mean, with any of these guys, like, there's a strong case to be made for keeping them. Like, for Garrett, there's a good chance you're going to have a rookie quarterback, and you probably don't want a left tackle who's, you found for $3 million or is a later drafted rookie or whatever. Like, that's a good reason to keep Garett Bolles. $16 million is a good reason to not keep Garett Bolles. Courtland Sutton, again, rookie quarterback. How about a guy who scored 10 touchdowns last year, is like the one piece of the offense that was working last year? Pretty easy to keep that for rookie quarterback, but also, I mean, pretty easy to make the case, $14.5 million when you got 2 years of paying off the Russ bill. I mean, it is what it is.
That's the problem. It's still, everything goes back to that Russ deal, man.
It does.
No matter what we're going through right now, it's all because of the position we were put in, paying a guy not to be here.
Yep. It's tough.
$85 million and never took a snap, right?
Yep.
That's a hell of a deal.
Yep.
And then the crazy thing is, like, imagine if it had worked out. Imagine if the Broncos had been in the playoffs with Russ the last 2 years. Like, maybe they win a game this year, and they'd still be in the same financial situation. They'd still need to clear out a bunch of money. But in that case, it's really easy to say, well, let's just give Justin the extension, push money down the line. You can save money this year by extending him. Same thing, like Zach Allen, Ben Powers, Mike McGlinchey. Just push that money out. Like, pay those bills later so that we can keep this good team together. But it's the combination of giving a massive contract to somebody and it not working and needing to reset. I feel like the Broncos are in one of the most painful positions in the league right now.
Yeah, they are. And Broncos Country, whether it's in this chat that's happening on our YouTube channel right now, or anywhere I look on Twitter, the number one person that people are pointing the finger at is George Paton, saying, everyone else is losing their job in Denver. How does George Paton still have a job? And right now, Sean Payton and George Paton are working as a team, but and that's how you say George Paton has a job. Is Sean Payton does actually like working for him, and Sean Payton does view him as part of the future and part of turning things around. But you can't look at what has been done and say that should still have a job, because they're in this position because of him for the most part and because of these moves. So for everyone that's so upset about it, I understand. I think everyone understands, because there's been some really bad contracts, really bad decisions made, but it just goes back to, who do you think is going to be part of the solution? As of right now, Sean Payton does think that George Paton is going to be part of that solution. There's a big difference, though. Sean, I think the way it's set up, believes George Paton's going to be acting in that assistant general manager role, like, hey, gather all the information for me, and then Sean will make the decision, instead of what's been happening over the past few years where it's been George being the general manager and making those decisions.
Yeah, well, and I think, so George starts by hiring a coach, doesn't work. And so you leave that saying, I don't necessarily think George Paton should be hiring coaches. Then you look at the big moves he's made, those didn't work out. Russell Wilson, Randy Gregory, and so you say, I don't think George Paton should be making the big moves either.
Signed Courtland Sutton, Tim Patrick to extensions, had the highest paid wide receiver room in the NFL when the production was not even close.
But, Court's played well. Tim's gotten hurt. But, there's other stuff.
Not a 1,000-yard season from the highest paid receiver
but 10
in the
touchdowns.
NFL.
It is what it is.
One 10-touchdown season does not live up to the contracts they gave out.
Okay. I'd have to look at the numbers. But, yeah, so you look at, to me, the two big moves being Russ and bringing in Randy Gregory and say, we don't want George making the big moves anymore. And you look at what's going to happen now, and, Sean is hiring all of the coaches. Sean is making all the big moves. So the two big issues with George, you kind of negated through that in some way. The thing is, if Sean doesn't work out, George is absolutely going with him. And if Sean decides he'd rather have somebody else do the other jobs, then he can just replace him too. I think in this case, again, this is obviously a Sean Payton decision. I wouldn't be surprised if it was George whose job it was to work the phones the last week or however long and see if he could find a trade. And that, for this move, would be the one place I think you could pin some blame on George. Again, we don't know exactly those inner workings. I just imagine that was his job.
That makes sense.
Either way, I don't like it.
Yeah. I mean, he's
I'm
also
not blaming
done
anybody, but I know I don't like it.
exactly. He's done nothing to prove.
And what a lot of fans, the reaction I've been seeing from fans, not with Russ, but when it comes to Justin Simmons, is like, as you mentioned earlier, Todd, Justin Simmons has done everything you want on the field. He's done more than you could have ever asked for from anyone off the field, from a leadership standpoint, from also doing stuff in the community.
Yep.
And you said bye to him, yet the issues that the front office has had have been the complete opposite. Like they've barely hit on things where they've had so many issues, and yet they keep their job. That doesn't really make sense. And so my only answer for you is that Sean Payton views George Paton as an elite assistant general manager, and that's essentially what his role is now. That's the only, because you can't justify the moves that have failed miserably right now. I mean, there's a tweet going out there, which I don't fully agree with, but it says George Paton has been in charge of the worst coaching hire of all time with Nathaniel Hackett, the worst trade of all time with Russell Wilson, the worst contract given out of all time with Russell Wilson. Deshaun Watson probably has some things to say about the trade and the extension, but like, we're kind of
Herschel Walker with the trade.
Yeah, we're kind of picking hairs though. Like, okay, maybe the worst coaching hire of all time, and then a top
if you're
three
top,
worst
if
trade,
you're top
right?
2 in all those categories,
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
this is bad.
Top two's not good.
It's really, really bad. So that's my only answer for you is Sean just views him as that guy. Or in 2 months from now, after the draft, Sean brings his own guy in, and things are different, and George is gone. So we'll see there. Okay, I want to get in the comments section because a lot of people are tuning in, but there's just a couple more things that I want to talk about when it comes to Justin Simmons. Man, Justin Simmons was 0-15 against the Chiefs to start his career. And then he was the reason that they turned it around and got that final win against the Chiefs. Justin had an interception, he had a fumble recovery, and the Broncos 24-9 win over the Chiefs. He was part of that defense that held the Chiefs to 9 points. He was the AFC Defensive Player of the Week in the entire AFC after the Broncos beat the Chiefs. I'm so happy that he finally beat the Chiefs, but I just wish that there was more accomplishments with the team around him, because man, he deserved it. So as you said, potentially on a Hall of Fame path right now. Absolutely, he's a lock to be in the Broncos Ring of Fame right now, and he owned Patrick Mahomes like no one else. He has a league high 5 interceptions off Mahomes, and his past 3 games, he has an interception in every single game off Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is thrilled by this move. That's why I hate it. I want to do what
we
your
just made
rivals.
the Chiefs better.
Yes.
We just literally gave the Chiefs just another one.
Patrick Mahomes, Justin Simmons has accounted for 8% of Patrick Mahomes' career interceptions in his entire career. And he doesn't have to play him twice a year anymore.
Yep.
Maybe he ends up as a teammate of his. I hope that is not the case.
I wonder what goes through your mind, Todd, if you're in that situation. Like when the Broncos cut you, are you like, I kind of want to go play for the Raiders now, the Chiefs, or do you say like, I'd keep the Broncos fans happy and just don't wear the uniform? Like, how do you think about that?
You just think about any time, like you're just hoping that at some point you get to play them.
Yeah.
Like you don't necessarily have to be in the same division, but you're like, I can't wait to play these guys and dog them. So that's like the mentality. Is like, you guys did what you did. It may hurt. I'm frustrated, but just. I want to prove that you guys made the wrong decision. And if I ever get to play you guys again,
oh gosh,
I'm studying extra hard. They hit the weight
starting
room
in the summer.
more time. It's like, I'm gonna give you guys hell.
And then to the media, you'll say it's just another game. It's not another game.
Yeah, just another game. Just here to play. Just another Sunday.
Yeah.
In mind, like
I know every one of their plays.
Just a 3 interception game coming for me this week.
Yep.
Oh man, brutal. Okay, let's wrap this conversation up with Justin Simmons by playing a little tribute video that the Broncos put out for him on Twitter today.
They played that so they had it wrapped up
They had it ready.
That
to go.
was
days
weird.
ago.
That was
It takes
weird.
time to put together. That was a nice
weird.
video.
Did you see how long their statement for Justin was too?
Man.
It was like the smallest print ever because that takes a while to put together.
And you got to get it proofread. You got to get
Yeah.
it okayed by different PR people.
Yep,
This ain't no last minute decision.
yep.
They knew.
Here we go. They say, thank you, Justin Simmons.
That was my revenge game that I loved. He done donated his time to the community, gave money to the community.
Yep.
At the Boys and Girls Club all the time. Man, he's going to be missed. He is going to be missed. And I think all of Broncos country, especially if the Broncos do go the rebuild route, wherever Justin Simmons lands, as long as it's not in the AFC West, they're going to be pulling for that team. I think it's going to be like the Detroit Lions when Matthew Stafford moved on to the Rams and won a Super Bowl. I think the state that watched the Super Bowl the most outside of the two teams that were playing in the Super Bowl was Michigan because of Detroit, because of Matthew Stafford being there, and they really wanted to see Stafford win. I really think that's what it's going to be like with Justin Simmons, which just speaks volumes because Matthew Stafford's a quarterback. Justin Simmons is a safety. That shows how much he is loved. And I think that's what Broncos fans are going to want. They're going to want him to go maybe to the Lions.
That's
NFC
the one,
team,
yeah.
And then that's going to be the team that becomes Broncos country's second favorite team when Justin is there.
He's such a good guy, man. And just all that time in the community. Like, you guys don't understand how hard it is sometimes to work long hours and finally get time with your family and your wife and kids are there and you tell them, like, hey, I know you haven't seen me really in 3 days, but I'm going to take these next 2 hours that I have for free and I'm going to go spend at the Boys and Girls Club and give my time there. Like, that's so hard to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Your wife never loves it. She kind of agrees with it because, of course, you're giving your time back, but they want to see you too. They want to spend time with you too. And he did that time and time again. It just was, a great guy on and off the field. And like, I just wish that at some point, the guys that really invest in the city and give back to the team, that can be kept long term. I can't remember anybody that we've kept long term because of what they did for the team and the community. So hopefully we change that around.
And I know there were a lot of different things with Russ, but you want to look at the two guys that had maybe the biggest impact in the community on the team?
Yeah.
Gone this week.
But at least Justin did some stuff on the field that we like.
Right, exactly. Any final words that you guys have for Justin or this before we get into the comment section?
If I had to bet, I'd say he's going to the Lions. That's who I traded him to in the mock offseason thing. I mean, that's a team that has $54 million in cap space. They can afford to pay him. Like, they brought in C.J. Gardner-Johnson last year, and I guess he got healthy for the playoffs, but now he's a free agent again. You just sub him into the back of that defense, and they could be that. I mean, throw him in, throw in like 1-2 other guys, and they're set. Like, they're ready to go win a Super Bowl.
That's such a good fit because the Lions defense wasn't elite, but they were playmakers. Like, they made all the plays that need to be made at the right time. And Justin Simmons leads the league in interceptions since he entered the league. That's a match made in heaven.
Yeah, he didn't even start really that first year.
Yeah.
So it's really a 7-year career, I say.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Justin's not having a good day, but there's a real chance that he
We
goes.
don't know. He may be popping champagne. Finally.
There's a chance, but it seems like this would be not good news. I just hope by like August he's sitting there with like a new contract that maybe is worth more money, like if at the very least isn't worth much less money, and then is getting ready to go play real meaningful football, and he gets another 3-4 years on a really good team that, I don't know, he might look back on this day totally differently than he sees it now.
Good point. It's a really good point. And just my final thought on this is going back to the decisions the Broncos have made over the last couple of years, specifically this last year. They blew it with Justin Simmons. They could have traded him last offseason. They could have traded him at the trade deadline. Same with Courtland Sutton, Jeudy. I guess they got fooled by that Kansas City Chiefs win. The 2-game win streak going into the bye week, going into the trade deadline. They were 3-5. And they got fooled by one of those 2 games or both of those games where they could have got something for Justin, sent him to a winner this past year. They could have got something more for Jeudy and or Courtland Sutton, and now it just appears that they're going to be getting nickels on the dollar from something like, 6 months ago? Less than 6 months ago? So just a bummer.
Yeah, and I see that differently with the trade deadline. I mean, if you move Justin at that point, who knows what happens, but you know, like you said, that was the first 2 games of the 5-game win streak. Like, you get that win streak because you kept him. Like, you wind up with 8 wins. You have your best season in 6-7 years because you kept him. And while that obviously, like...
But now you're talking about... You're saying that now it's time for a rebuild.
Oh,
like,
it totally is.
9. You got nothing out of that. You were 3-5.
But it was your best season ever. Like, I like that they gave it a chance. Like, I like that they tried last year. Like, if they had just decided at that point, like, we're shutting it all down, like, we're not even trying, like, it didn't work out in a way where they made the playoffs, obviously, but they were within a couple of wins of making that happen. And so
we still would have been within a couple of wins of making that happen.
I think so. But we
didn't make the playoffs, and we wouldn't have made the playoffs. Like, that's the big thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that move had made us make the playoffs, okay, it was the right decision. But because we didn't make it anyway, probably should have just went with the rebuilding path. You knew Russ wasn't going to be back. You knew that. They knew that.
Yeah, they did know that.
If we're going to make these moves, like,
like if somebody was offering a first-round pick, then yeah, go pull the trigger. But in a world where he's worth no picks right now, 6 months ago he couldn't have been worth too many picks. And so at that point, like, if you want to go win some games, try to build some momentum, I'm not going to fault him for trying to win.
But see, that's why I just think that, Sean, if you're taking that approach, I don't see how you can say rebuild now, because Sean says, we were 8-9, we built some momentum.
More information. You saw how it all played out. You know where you are now, and like you can't be factoring the past decisions into the decisions you make right now.
Man, I think especially with hindsight being 2020, they messed up over this past year. But we've debated enough. We want to hear from the people. Let's get into some super chats. And as we hit the super chats, please hit us with a thumbs up. Really, really helps us, and we really appreciate it a lot. First one coming in from Dirk says, this is a crusher for me. Cut the heart of the team. Shake my head. I totally feel that. Broncos Country, there's been one consistent positive, I should say, since 2016. That's been Justin Simmons.
Yep.
You can't look at a coach. You can't look at another player. You can't look at like one side of the ball because there's been ups and downs on both sides. But you can't look at a general manager. You can't look at an owner. You can't look at anything except for Justin Simmons. That's it.
Mm-hmm. He was Mr. Bronco.
Yep, he was.
Yep. They should change Miles' name to Justin.
Wow. Maybe wait till he retires.
Oh, gosh. You know how the Broncos outside the stadium would put up like two big banners?
Yeah.
You know who it was at the start of the 2022 season? There was 2 of them.
Justin and Russ?
Justin and Russ. Man. That was supposed to be the banners in 5 years from now, too.
What do they do with those banners?
That's a great question. They're huge.
That is crazy.
I mean, that can't even fit in like anyone's house.
No.
Somebody's house.
Your house?
Not my house.
I know a place you can store them for $25 million.
Right. Russ's house.
Russ's house.
Next one from Jimmy Wood says, I understand what they are trying to do, but there were a lot of other people that could have be cut before Justin Simmons. Don't like this move at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious. I haven't decided, like, is it better to just do the big one first? Or is it more disrespectful to, like, wait to cut Justin until, like, Tuesday after you've made other moves? Or is it more disrespectful just to be like, oh, first move we're making, Justin, you're out?
If you are going to cut him, and that is our plan, I think it's better to cut him earlier so that he knows, his team knows, okay, we got to go get out there and get some contracts. And then this gives other teams notice that, like, if they're looking at safeties in the draft, now Justin's available. Okay, now maybe he's our first target.
Yeah.
If you wait, you know what I'm saying, it just puts everybody in a bind, and it makes him have to, like, hunt down deals and have his agent negotiate with teams who are already looking at a player. Like, it's worse. So if they're making that move, they did it at the right time.
And on top of that, since they cut him instead of his contract expiring, he's free to negotiate a contract now. So he gets a head start instead of waiting till Monday like everybody else. So I guess that helps.
Yeah, I agree with what you guys are saying. And unfortunately, Todd, the Broncos did the exact opposite to you when they cut you. They didn't just wait till after the new league started. They waited till, the end of training camp, right before the season started? And that's the worst thing you can do as a player. And so, I mean, I guess in this sense, once they realized they were going to cut him, it's good to do it now instead of wait, because that doesn't help.
Yeah, I don't think I was getting traded for when the Broncos were planning on cutting me. But because my agent and I understood my cap hit, knew the potential was there, we had multiple teams that were like, if Todd's going to get cut early, we will pay him. And so once you go all the way down to that, like, I was cut the day before 53-man rosters were made. Like, teams have set their rosters now.
Yeah.
In every GM's mind, Todd Davis is not available, so he got to find other options. Now once I become available, they've either fallen in love with guys during training camp, have already made so many moves that there's not room in the salary cap. Okay, now we can't, no matter what, I can't go get this guy right now. You know what I'm saying? So
the money they were going to pay you is no longer there.
No, they had to pay somebody. They had to fill the spot.
Right.
Yep.
So, you know, it is what it is for me, but I'm glad he was able to be cut earlier so he can find another home.
Yep. Next one from Z Free says, Kirk Cousins would be an excellent signing. Finally, someone agrees with me. He can be our Alex Smith, and we pick a quarterback late this year or draft one early next year. Again, I said earlier, but if the Broncos want to show that they aren't rebuilding, this is literally the only move they can make over the next week that will show me, okay, they're not rebuilding. They just wanted to invest more in the offensive side. And you know what? I would understand that. But the odds are not in favor of the Broncos landing Kirk.
No.
Yeah. Also, I mean, the contract, so he signed a second deal with the Niners and then was traded?
Wait,
potentially?
who?
No, Alex Smith. I was just trying to look. Yeah, but his cap hit the first year was less than $10 million. Then after that, I guess it went 15, 17, 16. There's a big difference between that and paying Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, they could sign Kirk for a $10 million cap hit this year, though.
Oh, they could, but then that means next year, or just at some point, you're paying the bill.
Yeah.
And then that's where,
Speaking
they
of
just
kicking
happen to
things down
keep
the
these all
road,
stable.
Sean doesn't have any issue with that.
And
that's just one more thing that I haven't
didn't
mentioned
in New Orleans.
with this rebuilding conversation. Sean has never in the past been okay with rebuilding and done a rebuild, and he has never given any indication during his year with the Broncos that he's willing to do that.
He always had Drew Brees.
No, he didn't. He didn't always have Drew Brees.
I guess not the last 3 years.
Jameis Winston, and they weren't trying to rebuild there. They weren't tanking.
Yeah, but that was like, we're either going to win now or I'm leaving. And they gave that a couple years and he just left.
But I don't think Sean's here for a 15-year run. I don't think he views this as like, okay, I'm going to be here for 15 years. Let's start over and then get going. Maybe he does something that he's never done. But that would be something that he has never done before is rebuild.
Yep.
All right, Easy E80 says, Sean is putting a lot of pressure on himself. He certainly is. He certainly is. And you know what? The Broncos traded a first and a second round pick for Sean. They gave him a massive contract. So you should let him do what he wants with the team. And you gave him a lot of responsibility, so you might as well let him do the moves he wants. And clearly, this is his team now.
Yeah. I mean, head coaches just have pressure. Like, that's just the way it is.
But last year, pressure was on Russ.
Yeah, year one coaches don't have, like, a huge amount of pressure.
Yeah.
But just kind of builds. Like, that's just the natural flow of things.
Yeah, it's true. Dylan says, it's really hard to be a Broncos fan right now. Justin Simmons isn't only their second best player, but also the leader on that defense. He is the face of that defense. I'm so unbelievably upset with the team. That's definitely a sentiment that's out there with a lot of Broncos fans right now, and I completely understand. Next one coming in from our friend Jimmy Wood again. He says, if it's a rebuild, how likely is it we trade PS2?
I think anything's in the cards now. I thought that there was no way that this would happen, but I don't know now. I don't think it's likely, but at the same time, I'm not going to rule it out like I was before.
Sean wants to go all in on the offensive side. That's how you do it. You trade your best player who's on defense to move up in the draft for a quarterback. But like you said, Todd, I can't rule that out now. If Justin Simmons is on the table for a straight release, yeah, anything's on the table. I think that they do value Pat a ton, though. When I say they, I mean Sean, the decision maker. I think they value. I think he values Pat a ton. So I don't think that they're just going to trade him, though.
Yep.
Logan comes in and says, my boys, knee-jerk reaction, but all this move tells me is that they saw the terrible defense last year and don't care to fix it. Love the pod and that we get a player's perspective from Todd now. Yeah, I
Got you.
love this. I'm sorry that it's your former teammate and good friend, Todd, but it's been an awesome perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a little stirred up there, you know what I'm saying?
No, it's
Some
good.
old energy. I had to let it out real quick.
Broncos Country's appreciated it. Josh says, this is what happens when you Band-Aid every year. It's true. And I'm curious if this year they're just going to try to Band-Aid it again or if they actually will rip the Band-Aid off and start from scratch.
Let us bleed out and just...
Yep.
Feed out and die and rebuild.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I still think this has to point toward just this is going to be a terrible season and we're going to rebuild, because you look back and they haven't really done this before. You know, they traded Vaughn, which is similar, but a trade where you're getting what they get second and third round picks. Like that's a good value on top of it. You're not just getting rid of him. I can't think of another cut they've made, no offense, Todd, that's been like this, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
With this much money there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even Demarius was a trade.
Yep.
Emmanuel was a trade.
Yep.
Like, they haven't just cut TJ got cut too.
He did.
But again, like, Justin's all pro every year, you know?
Yeah. That one was a tough one, though. Might
Yeah.
be the closest one. All right, next super chat coming in from, let's see, Darth. We hit that one from Darth. Here we go. From Darth says, tear it down, rebuild, tank, and get the first pick in 2025. I know some people are already thinking of tank for 2. You know who 2 is? Shador. Exactly. Some people are thinking that way. Kevin Locke says, could this mean that they are going to try to eat the full $80 million this year? If that's the case, oh boy, they're going to be cutting everyone.
Also, 85 million. So
85
we
million.
wish they were trying to get to 80 million. Yeah, it could be like they could definitely be trying to eat a chunk. We've kind of talked about this a little. For accounting purposes, you might as well just split it and save money so you have the flexibility this year. But yeah, I mean, hopefully from my perspective, this means they're just going to save as much money as possible and try to move on from the whole Russell thing.
And what you mean by splitting it to give them flexibility, anything that they don't spend this year, they can roll over into next year to help with the cap hit for Russ next year as well. And I think right now the Broncos sit $3 million over the cap. Is that about right?
Yeah, it should be. So yeah, because by my math, because they were at like 19.2 over, and then this should have saved 14.5, and so you'd be at like 4.7. But then with top 51 salaries, you got to throw in like another $800,000. So I had it like closer to like 5, but somebody tweeted 2 to 3. Point is, they're close.
Yeah, they're close.
Yeah.
Also, what this means is they do want PJ Locke back. So your starting safeties next year could very well be PJ Locke and Caden Stearns. And just talk about a difference from 1 year ago when it was 15-year vet Kareem Jackson going with 4-time All-Pro, or I guess maybe at that time 3-time All-Pro Justin Simmons. Very different philosophy from a team-building perspective.
Yep. And I think that because you just look at that group, assuming they bring PJ back, it's PJ, Caden, Skinner, DTY. To me, that's like the baseline level that you have to have going into a season. Like, you can at least go with that and hope it works out. And that's, to me, where they need to get everywhere on the roster. And if you can go out and add somebody who can be an upgrade, that's great. If you draft somebody, that's great. But to me, once you get through the cutting point, then the next step is just getting to that bare minimum. Like, we have a functional football team.
Yeah, bare minimum is what they're at that safety spot right now. Because Caden Stearns, he's a heck of a player, but he just cannot stay healthy. So you have to be relying on either a guy who they did not want to put on the field at all last year in rookie JL Skinner, or DTY, a guy they also didn't really want to put on the field. So.
But that's like where you're at inside linebacker. It's where you're at center. It's where you're at like probably a tight end. It's just that, like, I guess you could get by with it if you really had to, and that's just where they're going to be. It's where you're going to be you're not even, I guess, going to be there if you get rid of Garett Bolles. So,
man, Scarefro1 coming in and says, I don't buy many jerseys, but I'll cherish his. Thank you, 31. Yeah, Justin Simmons. I know some people have regrets after buying jerseys when a guy's cut or traded, but I think Justin's a great one to always have. He's a legend here.
I've still got my Simeon and my Osweiler.
I like that.
Yep.
Simeon's a good one.
Yep.
Alex Hoy says, here we go. How is George Paton still employed? It was if I was ass at my job, I would get fired. Also, Todd is my guy, speaking truth every day.
Much love, my man. Much love.
This is that's the frustration that I know Broncos Country's feeling about George Paton. Dustin says, punch me in the face, Todd. It would hurt less.
I wouldn't want to do that, man.
That would hurt more.
Yeah.
I promise that would hurt more.
Physically, it would definitely hurt more. Court Nelson rounds us out here on Super Chats and says, thank you, Todd, for getting angry and expressing the emotion that all of us fans feel today. Broncos have made so many poor choices in recent years, but this one hurts the heart. It's hard to be a Broncos fan sometimes.
It's good to know that when we make Todd mad, people will pay us. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind going forward.
Oh, my gosh.
And we've got one comment on the website coming in from AZ Broncos. Says, my dudes, I know there will be plenty... What? Okay, let me hit this one. AZ Broncos says, my dudes, I know there will be plenty of time for scenarios, but thinking about how everyone is making a big deal out of our cap situation, I really think we have some room. I think the wide receiver room is getting gutted. So trade Court and Jeudy and grab a fourth for each. Cut Pat because it's 2 years with nothing to show. Boom, that's nearly $30 million. It hurts, but trade Simmons for a high pick. Oof. And another $14.5 million. Cut or renegotiate Bolles, and then cut Samaje and Manhurts, and all of a sudden you have $36 million in room. Plus you convert Allen and McGlinchey's base salaries into signing bonuses and pick up another $30 million. Thoughts? Is this crazy? Well, I think the Broncos have already showed you that it's crazy because you weren't crazy thinking the Broncos could get a high pick for Justin Simmons. Henry thought that might be the case as well. And so no one's crazy for thinking that, but I think we just got a reality punch of what this means for the rest of the roster. And it sucks.
Everybody's on high alert now.
Yep.
Vacations just got a little bit less vacation-y.
Yeah, that's true. You turn your phone off.
Yeah, don't call me.
And final question coming in from Danimal, our guy, says, if they don't step up to the podium and tell us what the heck they're doing, then I'm already out on Payton and the ownership.
Whoa.
If you're tanking, say it. You're not going to hear anything from the Broncos for a while. Last year, they didn't do any press conferences during free agency. The next time, we will likely talk to Sean Payton and the owner and the GM and the president is going to be all at one time in a couple of weeks at the owners' meetings. If they're not going to hold a press conference for cutting Justin Simmons, they're not going to hold a press conference. And we haven't heard about one yet, so I don't expect that we're going to hear from the Broncos for a couple of weeks from now.
Yep.
Don't be on the ownership, man. I think they'll be our owners for the rest of our lives. So, you're going to keep the faith, man.
Yep. And their kids will be the owners when your kids are Broncos fans, and their grandkids, and all the way down.
Yep. It is true. So you're not going to hear from the Broncos for a while. We're going to be here for you every day, and we're so appreciative of everyone tuning in with us, rolling in with us in the comment section, throwing us super chats, hitting us with comments on the website. It means the world. Look, we're sitting here in March right now. We have a ton of people rolling with us. We'll be back tomorrow for one last podcast of the week, but if news breaks, we'll be here for you in emergency context as well. So thank you so much for tuning in with us. We'll see you tomorrow on the DNVR Broncos Podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.